What is entry into force for an international treaty? Imagine a complex agreement between multiple nations that aims to establish rules, obligations, or standards across borders. Before this agreement can influence the countries involved, it must reach a specific milestone known as the entry into force. This term signifies the moment when the treaty becomes legally binding and operational for the parties involved. But how exactly does this process unfold? Typically, an international treaty includes provisions that specify the conditions required for it to enter into force. These conditions often involve a certain number of countries ratifying the treaty or a specific number of ratifications from designated signatory states. Ratification is the formal approval by each country's governing body, such as the national parliament or the head of state, indicating their consent to be bound by the treaty's terms. Once the stipulated conditions are met, the treaty enters into force. This means it becomes legally effective and enforceable according to international law. From this point onward, the countries that have ratified the treaty are obligated to adhere to its provisions. The treaty's obligations then influence their domestic laws and policies, and they are subject to international oversight or dispute resolution mechanisms outlined within the treaty. The timing of entry into force can vary significantly depending on the treaty's design. Some treaties specify that they will enter into force immediately after a certain number of ratifications are received, while others may requiring additional steps, such as formal notifications or deposit of ratification instruments with a designated international organization or depositary. For example, treaties often specify that they will enter into force 30 days after the deposit of the 10th ratification. In summary, entry into force marks the transition point when an international treaty shifts from a formal agreement to a binding legal obligation for the countries that have ratified it. It ensures clarity and certainty about when the rules established by the treaty become operational, facilitating international cooperation and compliance.